If you're building your business in the margins of motherhood, during nap time, between school drop offs, and in the quiet hours before everyone wakes up, then this episode's going to challenge you a little bit. Because building in the margins, it's not the limitation that you think it is, but it does require a completely different level of leadership than most people are talking about. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast, the show for service-based moms who are done with hustle culture and ready to build profitable businesses that actually fit their lives. I'm Jenny Sunnison, business strategist, podcast mentor, and the founder of Moms Make Money Collective. Let's build something sustainable. Hey, and welcome to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast, a place for service-based mom entrepreneurs who want to build profitable businesses without burning themselves out in the process. Around here, we talk about what it actually takes to grow a business in the margins of motherhood with systems, sustainability, and strategies that support your life, not compete with it. Because success shouldn't require sacrificing your sanity. And today we're talking about something that I think gets misunderstood all the time, and that is building in the margins. So let's get into it. Most people talk about building in the margins like it's a disadvantage, like it's something that you have to work around. Like things like, if I only had more time, if only I could work full time, if only I didn't have so many interruptions. But here's the truth that no one's really saying. Building in the margins isn't the problem. The problem is trying to run a full-time business model in part-time hours. That is where things start to break. That's where you feel behind. That is where everything feels heavier than it should. And that is where burnout starts creeping in. Because you're trying to fit a 40-hour strategy into a 15 to 20-hour life, and that math will just never work. So what does building in the margins actually require? It requires you to think like a CEO, not just show up like a doer. And I want to walk you through what that actually looks like. So you really need to be relentlessly realistic about your capacity. And this is the first shift. You cannot build a sustainable business if you're constantly overestimating what you can handle. And I see this all the time. People are trying to serve too many clients, trying to show up on every single platform out there, and they're trying to do everything manually because you think that you should be able to. But CEO level leadership says, what actually fits into my life right now? Not in a perfect week, not in an ideal season, but in your real life. Because when you build based on reality, then you're going to create consistency. And consistency is what actually builds momentum. And here's where most moms get it wrong. They think they need more. They think they need more offers, more content, and more strategies. But building in the margins actually requires the opposite. It requires less. So fewer offers that are easier to sell, simpler workflows that don't require constant attention, and clearer messaging so that your content actually converts. Because complexity doesn't scale in part-time hours, it just creates friction. And friction, well, it slows everything down. The third thing is you have to build systems earlier, not later. And this is a big one because most people wait to build systems until they feel busy enough. But if you're building in the margins, then you don't have the luxury of waiting. You need systems right now. Simple systems, though, not complicated ones. But things like how leads come in, how your clients get onboarded and offboarded, and how your content gets created. Because every time you have to stop and figure out something from scratch, you're going to lose time that you just don't have. Systems don't just save time, they protect your energy. Another one is that you have to prioritize revenue over busy work. And this one might sting a little bit, but it's super important. So when you only have 15 to 20 hours a week, you cannot afford to be spending your time on things that don't move the needle. Things like scrolling for inspiration, tweaking your branding, or rewriting your website for the 50th time. That is not CEO work. CEO work is selling, serving, and improving what's already working. Because building in the margins requires focus, and focus is what creates results. You also have to let go of the timeline that you thought you'd have. And this one can be really emotional because a lot of us had this vision of how quickly things would happen. And when you're building in the margins, it might take a little bit longer. But slower doesn't mean that you're failing. It means sustainable, and it means intentional. And it means that you're building something that actually fits your life. And honestly, that matters a lot more than speed every single time. So I want to leave you with this. Building in the margins is not a disadvantage. It's a filter that forces you to simplify faster, prioritize better, and lead stronger. And honestly, that is what creates better businesses in the long run because you're not building something that only works in ideal conditions. you're building something that works in real life. So if this episode hit home for you, I want you to take a step back and ask yourself this question. Am I building my business based on my real life, or am I building my business based on what I think it should look like? Because that one shift, it honestly changes everything. And if you're ready to simplify your business, build better systems, and create real momentum in part-time hours, that is exactly the work we do inside of the Sustainable Success Accelerator, which is my 8-week program that helps you create a sustainable, profitable, and scalable business. I'll link everything in the show notes for you below so you can check it out and see if the accelerator is the right fit for you. And yeah, that's it. I will talk to you in the next episode. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another service-based mom who's building something real. And when you're ready to move from reactive business ownership to sustainable CEO leadership, your next step is waiting for you. You'll find the right path, whether that's the accelerator, the collective, or a deeper intensive, by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com. You're not just building a business, you're building it your way sustainably, with profit, with margin, and with intention. Because hustle is optional, leadership isn't. I'll see you next week.